Hello and welcome to Pods Like Us. I'm Martin Quibone, known to my friends as Marv, and this time I'm speaking with Ryan from the Walk the Line podcast. Hey Ryan, thanks for speaking, mate.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having us on, Marv. Much looking forward to this, to be honest. Long time coming. It took me too long to get on this. Thanks for that.
Much too long. We'll have
long.
you back on sooner than anybody else has ever come back on.
Probably. Oh, don't you dare tempt me with a good time.
You can come on for a group chat. We'll have a great chat.
Oh, there we go. That's when you know you've made it on Pods. There is, you know, you go into a group chat. That's it. That's the golden ticket right there, isn't it?
You automatically you've got the gold. I think you got the platinum ticket there.
Oh, first time I'm being treated like royalty. Look at that.
He's not even got a crown on.
I've not even got a crown on. Not yet. I tell you what. Next time I'm having a crown. Then that's it. Next time I'm on, grab myself a crown. I'm going to put it on.
I think Spider-Man's a bit too close to that Stratocaster, though.
That's it, yeah. Get my background. You have a crown, put a crown on him as well. Fuck it.
Yeah. So what was your introduction then to podcasting? Had you been listening to them for a long while beforehand?
No, not at all. Not at all. You know what the interesting thing about it is I started doing podcasting when I was in its infancy. It was, I would say, probably back in about 2014, 15. Yep. And it was when I did it, when I had my own business. I had my own recruitment firm. And I was kind of doing a lot of research into like marketing and how to market yourself out and all that sort of side of things. And one of the main topics that come up, because at that point in time, they were saying podcasting is going to be huge. It's going to blow up. It's going to be so much money involved in it. And a lot of these marketing gurus, as you said, I mean, I spent thousands and thousands of pounds a year on this bloody course or this marketing guru to tell me how I need to grow my business.
Yeah.
And one of the things he said is podcasting. Get yourself a podcast, and how to grow it is to get industry experts.
Yep.
On the show. So I was in logistics and supply chain. And what they said was get some industry experts on the show, and then you'll be associated and interview them about certain things about the industry. And then automatically you'll be associated with these guys, and your stock value will rise, and people know who you are, and you become an authority in the business. I was like, that's a great idea. So, I started my own podcast. Originally, I actually called it the Walk the Line podcast back then. But then I changed it. I changed it to another name called, because my full name is Ryan Alexander Walker. So my initials are RAW. So straight away I thought, I'm going to have some fun with this. So I called the podcast after that, Going In Raw. And got a few tons of the head. People didn't like it. Going, I'm going, what's this name all about? What sort of podcast is this? Is it sort of like a I don't know, like a porn version of stuff? And I'm like, no, it's just about supply chain and logistics. So going forward, I went on and did that for about 10 episodes sort of thing. But I shut that down after I stopped it after I've closed my business down, to be quite honest with you. I finished the business. I was like, I want my life back. I don't know if anyone's listening who knows how to run their own business. I don't know if you do, Marv, but it's a lot of time constraints and a lot of stress. And I wanted my life back. So I shut that down. But then I went through, that was a few years later, but then lockdown slapped on my head, and that landed. So I was like, what am I going to do? Because I really like podcasting as well. I wasn't a big fan of listening to them. I think the only one I really listened to at the time was the Joe Rogan one, really, to be honest, and a couple of more conspiracy theories ones, because let's be honest, everyone loves a good conspiracy theory. Get your tinfoil hat on and have some fun with that. And I was like, okay, so lockdown happened. What am I going to do? I mean, at that point in time, all I was doing was playing Call of Duty and developing an unhealthy drinking habit, you know what I mean? Because that's all you could do till then. So I was like, I'm going to start my podcast up again. I'm going to kind of do something with it. So I didn't have any equipment, didn't have any sort of understanding of how to do it and what to do and how to go about it. So I went online, I got myself on eBay and got myself one of those computers, um, the old refurbished desktop computers that you get on eBay. And it was a bundle. And it was one of them. I got that for 90 quid. And it had the hard disk, the monitor, the mouse, the keyboard, everything that I needed. And I went and jumped on Amazon and got myself one of those little cheap cameras and a cheap microphone. And it was like 40 quid each. And that's it. So I spent about 150 quid on everything and I was good to go. So I was like, right, let's do it. So that's the main, how I really kind of started, really, because I just love talking to people. I love hearing people's stories and all that sort of stuff and understanding, because all you see online and on like Instagram and on Twitter and all that sort of stuff and on social media as a whole is all these celebrities giving it, oh yeah, great, we're fantastic and all that sort of stuff. But there's a lot of people out there with stories themselves. There's a lot of people out there with really interesting stuff that they've done. And nobody hears much about it. And I want to give them a platform to share it, to share their stories, what their life's been. And it's been good fun. I mean, I've met some great people on there. I met some interesting people. And it's, that was the main way of getting into it and the main way of actually kind of going down, I would say, the rabbit hole of the podcasting. Because let's be honest, it's a hell of a rabbit hole. There's information launched at you from every direction. We were talking about it before. And it's just trying to understand it and piecing it together and make sure what you're doing is kind of relevant to what you're doing. Just because someone else is doing it doesn't mean it's right for you. So you have to really be a little bit strict. And it's a lot of trial and error I've seen over the past, 3 years now, 3 and a bit years, I think it is. So there's a lot of trial and error. But I enjoy it. I love doing it. I just love chatting to people and chatting shit and having some good, fun conversations, mate, to be honest.
It's fun. It is, and you meet all sorts of people. Like last night when I spoke to Therapy By, it's a bit of a thing here, but one of them, he kept talking about mushrooms for some reason.
I tell you what, right, this is all just to break it here. I don't know if you want to keep this in, but I had a funny story talking to the mushrooms. At the weekend, I went on a date with a girl, obviously, with a lady. Yep. And we went to this club, and we ended up going into this ended up going to this gay club because it was open till like 5 o'clock in the morning. And then for some reason, these sort of clubs are always open till 5. But it was good fun. So I'm in there, and I've had a few drinks down the neck, so I'm just like, yeah, okay. And we're walking on the dance floor, and there was this big tall. He was a handsome son of a bitch. I'm like, my God, look at you. I mean, I appreciate it. I'm not gay myself, but I can appreciate a handsome man when I see one.
Yeah.
And he was giving all the dance moves and stuff. And he was like chatting to me, and I was like, oh, who are you here with? And I was like, oh, I'm here with her over there. And he's like, oh, so you're not like gay? And he's like, no. And he goes, oh, shame. And I went, oh, okay. Well, okay, that was a compliment. Thanks, buddy. And then he was like, I goes to him, I goes like, who are you here with? And he went, oh, my husband over there. And honestly, his husband came over, and he's literally completely opposite to him. Big old bushy beard, kind of like bald head and all that sort of stuff, middle-aged guy with a flannel shirt on. And I'm like going, oh, okay, I'll check you out. How you doing, buddy? And he was off his nut. You could tell he was on something. He was off his nut. And I was like, okay, what are you up to? And he had his mate with a little kind of a woman next to him. And he's like, oh, we're on mushrooms. And I was like, okay. So the girl that I was with came over and she's like, oh, who's your new friends? I was introduced to them all. And he's like, oh, they're on mushrooms. And she went, oh, really? And the girl that he was with opened her bag up and went, do you want some? And she went, yeah, go on in. And I was like, no. I goes, have you done mushrooms before? And she went, no. He goes, right. So it's 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night in a gay club and you're pissed at your head. Do you think this is a fun time to do mushrooms? She went, yeah, that's a good point, actually. Let's not do that. And I was like, yeah, let's not do that. Because I am not, I've just met this girl tonight and I am not looking after you when you're tripping balls looking at pink elephants in the ceiling.
Yep, we'll leave that one there before I go to any stories. But for anybody listening, there are some superb dating stories that Ryan gives on his show. That one I listened to about.
That's the second one.
That made me laugh out loud. The one where she was unresponsive.
Oh, that pissed me off. Now you made a video of that as well on your TikTok. I saw the tag of that. Yeah. That was funny. I mean, it's the thing is when it comes to the dating side of things, Marv, I mean, I've only just I've not recently been single. I've been recently single about a year. But I've only just really kind of jumped back into I say on the episode, I've not dipped my toe into it. I've basically fucking swan dived into it. So I went full bore. And when you chat to these people, they don't really give a shit. They're just like, yeah, okay. And you're like giving it all the spiel in it, and you're giving all yeah, I'm gonna make sure this girl likes me. I'm gonna give my best lines and make sure I'm upbeat and please. You're selling yourself, basically. That's what you're doing. You're selling yourself. So when you don't get it back, I wasn't getting it back from this girl, and she was just like, I was like, "How you doing? You okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Oh, what you been up to today? Not much." I'm like, she wasn't even asking questions back, and I was like, "Right, this went on for a couple of days." And I'd said to you before on the when you mentioned there, I texted back, "How you doing?" "Yeah, I'm fine. How are you?" "Oh, not doing too well actually. I've been in the hospital." And she's like, "What for?" Because I've got a bad back for carrying this fucking conversation.
Yeah.
Straight away, blocked, never to be seen again. She didn't like that. And I'm like, what do you expect? Christ, you're supposed to be selling yourself. I'm not here to cater to your needs. You sell yourself to me, darling. Come on. But yeah, so that's one of many stories on that show.
But I'm guessing some of them think that they're that it with the way that they look, that they don't need any of that.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. You do get that, especially down my neck of the woods. I'm doing Essex in a minute. I know you've obviously the typical Essex sort of side of stuff, and you see all the kind of glitz and glam. Some of the girls are a little bit up themselves, but some of them are not. You just have to you can see them coming a mile away. You can literally see them coming. You're like, nope, not today. You're going to be a pain in the ass, and you're literally going to drain my bank account so much. I can't afford you, darling. Simple as that. Not a prostitute way, obviously, but she wants to go to nice places.
Prostitutes are cheaper. So we've done show history as well, haven't we? Because you basically said how you started the show as well. So how would you describe the show? Because it's different each time. So you have
it is
you just sort of like ramble on about a subject sometimes, and then occasionally you'll have guests on.
I started doing the show initially just with guests.
Yep.
The actual fun story that my first ever episode, and I was speaking to Sean about this before from Review It Yourself podcast. You've had him on a few times, and I was speaking to him about where you tell people about a podcast, and they always say, "Oh yeah, I'll go listen to it. I'll go listen to the first show," and you're obviously experienced, but you're on your 70th episode. You do not want people to listen to your first one, because the first one is always the worst one. It's horrendous. And you're like, no, please don't. Listen to the latest one. That's my good stuff. Don't listen to what I'm still learning. But my first ever episode was actually when me and my mate I got all set up, and we're discussing about topics and stuff like that. What can we talk about? What can we say? Who are we going to get on? Because I needed some help. And we're in a pub. And it was when I used to use Anchor as one of my podcasting platforms. Don't use them anymore because I don't like how they go about things. You could record from your phone, and we were just sitting in a pub. And honestly, in November, no, it was actually the October, November time, and we're sitting outside in Colchester having a few drinks. He went, "Let's just do one now," and I was like, "Shall we?" So I went, "Okay." So I went on the Anchor app, pressed record, stuck it on the table, and we just started chatting. And we just chatted about complete anything under the sun, local stuff happening, politics, anything. We had people coming out because we're out in the beer garden at the time. People coming outside chatting to us. They're in the show. They come and chat to us. Drunk people coming over.
Yeah,
it was such good fun. I love doing that. But so then that's when I realised it's a lot better. I thought at that time, getting guests on would be great, would be fantastic. I can interview them. I love listening to people's stories and stuff like that and getting them on. But only just recently, I've been doing a lot of solo shows because the shows that I've done myself, I've been getting more engagement and more listeners, because I believe I think the reason behind that is because they're actually starting to see my personality more, because when you're doing like a guest show, the person who's the guest is doing the most of the talking. It's them that's coming across more. It's them you're only doing like 10% of the job because all you're doing is asking questions. The other person on the show is doing all that. Hence the reason, like, you know, that yourself, you can do the same. And every now and again, it's always nice to kind of have you as a solo person and be like, look at me, I am actually quite fun. Come listen to me. So it has been like that sort of thing. So it's I didn't want to, obviously with the guest stuff, I still do guest episodes. I did one yesterday about men's mental health, which is going to come out hopefully tonight or tomorrow, which is incredibly interesting. I don't restrict anyone on what they say and how they do things. How I go about and describe the show really about the guest is having a few drinks with your mates down the pub. You know, there's no restrictions on what you can do. It's a very relaxed atmosphere. I don't want people to be like list of questions. Fair enough, topics, yes, but not list of questions and say, I'll ask you this, and then I'll ask you this and that. And it's too robotic. I want it to be natural, free-flowing, exactly the same sort of scenario as this sort of thing, Marv. You know, it's nice and chilled. And it'd be like that. And the sort of guest that I get on, it differs. It differs. And I think that's where my downfall is, really, to be quite honest with you, because I don't really have a niche. You know, they always say about marketing your podcast out is market it to people where they're going to be living. You know, if you're into like a film or a review podcast, you go to these sort of places like Facebook groups or Instagram. You know exactly where these people are hanging out. Yep. But when you got my sort of show, it's like, for instance, one week I had a comedian, a stand-up comic, and then the next week I had a singer, and then the week after that I had a fitness instructor, and then the week after that I had an author. So it's really different and it's really hard. So having to differentiate myself away from having that niche is a complete nightmare to market out to everyone else. So it's a good thing, but it's also a little bit of a downfall for the show as well, which I'm still trying to juggle up in the air about how to do it and what to do and the direction where I want to go with the show going forward, sort of thing. So I'm still a little bit kind of in two minds how I want to go about it, sort of thing.
But I mean, you'd have the same sort of reaction that my episodes have then, because I noticed that with my episodes, people will listen to them most of the time, other than the very small amount of people that listen to all the episodes. The ones that have listened to the most, well, people listen to according to the subject, I think, a lot of the time. I mean, you must find that yourself.
You do. You never, the thing is the problem is you do get people listening to one show, but then the next show might not be good and might not be their thing. Yeah. And it's really trying to retain those people who listen to one show and then go, okay, well, the next one might not be for them because they're interested in comedy or they like stand-up comedians and all that sort of stuff, but they're not really interested in how to write a decent chart-topping song, which is going to be the next episode, sort of thing. So it's really trying to really kind of keep them on, so the next time they come back to get an update on the show, it might be something more into what they're looking for. So hopefully I cater to everyone. I like catering to everyone because there's the stuff there for everyone involved, you know, and it's good fun. Plus I get to speak to complete random people, which is amazing.
Yeah. And you get to record at ridiculous times with people in other countries.
Oh, yeah, I've had that before. I think the one that this is a funny story. When I did one, it was 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was the band Survivor.
Oh yeah,
there's Eye the Tiger and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. It was the keyboard player that plays for them. He came on the show, and it was 1 o'clock in the morning, but he got the timings wrong, so it was 2 o'clock in the morning because he got obviously time difference, you know, between America. I don't think they realised that we have the daylight savings time and all that sort of stuff over here. So at that point in time, I've had a few beers down my neck because I'm just like, I've had a few drinks and that beforehand. So I'm sitting there and I'm chatting to this, just like this, in front of the mic and the camera, chatting away. Lovely guy, great episode. But then halfway through, I'm like, I'm dying for a wee. I'm dying for a wee right now. I'm really desperately dying for a wee. I've got like 4 cans sitting next to me on the desk waiting for this guy. So I'm just sitting chugging these away. And I'm like, I don't want to sit there and go, sorry, Mr. Famous keyboard player from a famous band. I just need to leave you while I go to the toilet for about 5 minutes. And now I would say, like, sorry, mate, I'm just going to go for a wee, back in a minute. But back then, I was only I think that was only like my 10th or 12th episode. So I'm like, oh, I can't do that. So I had to really stealthily go for a wee while talking to this guy in the camera, get one of the cans that was sitting there. I had to wee into the can while I'm talking to him live on my podcast. You can probably, I don't know if you can hear, you can't hear it, you can't see it, but you can see on the YouTube and you can see me just going and leaning forward a little bit. It's like, okay. So yeah, that's a funny story for you.
Oh dear, that just makes me think of the Dumb and Dumber sequence with the cop.
It does, doesn't it? It does come up like that.
Have you been drinking?
Yeah, he sits there and goes, he has like a stroke or something, drinking the urine. It's got a real kick to it.
Dear. My favourite Jim Carrey film is Truman Show, by the way.
Oh, really? I would say that was a good film. I did like it. It was good. It's a very clever film the way they did it. It's a very, very clever film. I like that. But my favorite, and I will literally say to anyone under the sun, is Ace Ventura 2, right? And they have got probably one of my top funniest scenes in cinema history in that film, and it's the rhino scene. That is literally the funniest scene ever in a comedy film. I watch it to this day and I am in stitches of him coming out the rhino naked, and it is literally outstanding the way he does it. And he's poking his finger through and he's sticking his head out. He's got and he's making all the facial expressions as Jim Carrey does. Yep. And he's mate, I love it. I've actually got it on my Facebook profile as the background of him sticking his head out halfway through as my cover picture, and it's been there for like 10 years and I dare not get rid of it because I love it so much.
Brilliant. There's a lot of his films I think you can't go wrong by saying most of his films, really.
I know, yeah. He's getting on a bit though.
He's retired now, hasn't he says?
Is he properly retired?
He says.
He's made his money now and he doesn't need to, really. He got a little bit messed up after a while when he did the one about, what's the comedian guy that he went a bit too much into it and everyone was complaining about.
Right.
What was the one he was doing? I can't remember. It's an old school comedian guy. I can't remember.
Man on the Moon was years ago.
That was it. It was about Man on the Moon. Yeah, that's when he went a little bit too far. Right. Andy something. I think.
Andy Kaufman from Taxi.
That's him. I suppose he went too much into him because he was being a really like kind of solid, method acting, and he wouldn't stop. And a lot of complaints were against him and all that sort of stuff. And I suppose that sent him a little bit doolally.
Yeah.
What do they say anyway? I don't know. Conspiracy theory. You think about what you think about that audience.
I think even Danny DeVito, who was one of the producers on it, said that he got a bit too much like Andy because they were friends.
I did not know Danny DeVito was a producer on that.
Yes. Yeah.
Look at him. He's always about somewhere. Old Danny. I love Danny. Yeah. I want to be friends with Danny DeVito. I think he'd be such a fun guy to be out on a night out with.
Absolutely. So what sort of, this is going to sound crazy because
I love it.
You must do research. You must research the guest at least.
I do research them. I do go into a lot. The thing is though, I don't do much. You sit into you're going into you're showing my vulnerabilities now, Marv. You know, I do when someone comes on the show or because how I used to get a lot of people turn around to me and say, "How did you get guests for your show?" And it's just, "Oh, did they come to you?" Now they come to me now, but beforehand they didn't come to me at all. I had to go to them, and I did a lot of Facebook groups. And I don't know if you know much about them, like podcast guests and Facebook groups and all that. And you put a post up saying, "I have a guest. I'm looking for guests on my show." Blah blah blah. And the next time you go to bed, you wake up the next morning. And you've got hundreds of people coming on there, and they're like commenting, I'm this, that, and the other. About 100 people comment on it. I would say about 90 of them are like self-help coaches, and they're like life coaches and all that. And I have no time for them. I've had one life coach on it, and I'll never have life coaches again because they're literally just there to sell stuff, and they all say the same bullshit anyway. You know what I mean? How old are you? I'm 21 years old. What do you do for a living? I am a life coach. I'm like, are you fucking for real right now? I was like, you've not even lived, mate. Never mind. How can you be a life coach when you've not lived enough? Fuck you. So that's a little bit of a rant there, gone. I'm sorry for that. But
you need a life coach like Tom Cruise in Magnolia. That's the sort of life coach that you need. Probably
yes,
some people do.
There you go. Exactly. That's it. That's what you want.
Respect the cock.
Respect it. But yeah, so I had a lot of so I had you could do when people go on when they comment on it, and when they kind of they comment in your status, you can look up the Facebook profile, you can get a little bit of digging. I used to beforehand, when I first started as well, I used to get people on for like, I used to say, let's have a chat first, see if it's any good for us, which is, I thought was a very good thing to do. So I used to sit there and organize like a 10-minute chat with them before, like a week before the show, to see, right, are you mental, or are you, what you said is real, or what's that all about? And that used to be beneficial, but I don't do that anymore now, because I don't want to take away a lot of the, I don't know, the kind of the surpriseness. I don't know, I just made up a random word, but the surpriseness of the interview. So I try and do as much research as I can. What that entails is basically stalking them on Facebook or social media. That's probably about it. The guy, a lot of people send me especially authors, they send me books. It goes, oh, here's the latest version of my book, and they send me it the day before the show, and this thing's like 17 chapters long. I'm like, I do have a life, you know. I can't read this book in a day and then interview about it. So I have to skim through it. So I try and do as much research as I can, but I also like to not do as much research. So I like to I do the research while on the show. So when I speak to them, I'm probing them, I'm poking them. If I don't understand something, for instance, I want to discuss it with them on the show instead of already knowing what they're all about, sort of thing. And I think that's, I want to be more surprised than anything else, you know, because I want to be surprised just as the audience is, you know. And I've been a few of the episodes, I have been very, very surprised, you know, when they drop bombshells on us. I was like, Jesus Christ, I did not expect that at all.
Yeah.
You know, I had one of the girls on here not too long ago, and she was talking about like kind of spirituality and like kind of mediums and all that sort of stuff. And I think I don't believe in it, but I think it's fascinating. So I wanted her to talk about it. And then she was like, I was like, how did you get into this? And then she's like, oh, it was when my husband got murdered on our honeymoon. And I went, holy shit, where the fuck did that come from? Yeah. You know, and it's like, it's stuff like that. And you're like, Jesus, that's a lot to unpack. And she was talking about it, blasé, as if nothing happened. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Can we go back to that, please? You know, let's talk about this if you're okay with it. And it brings a little bit more excitement to the show. It brings a little bit more kind of angst, like, you know, a bit more kind of funness to it, really, to be quite honest with you. So I try my hardest to do as much info as possible on them, but sometimes I can just be lazy and not. It bites me in the ass sometimes, but sometimes it's good. So that's a long-winded answer to that question, but yeah,
right.
Yes and no.
It makes me think I should do less.
There you go. Sometimes you don't need to. I don't believe you need to sit there and know this guy's life story before you get on there, because that's what the interview is for, is him to discuss his life story. So you want to be in the same frame of mind as, well, when I interview people, I want to be in the same frame of mind as the audience, you know? And I want them, yes, you know the generic questions, but it's all about when you ask questions to people, it's all about a Christmas tree effect. You know, the branches, you can branch off, but always remember to stay on that line of where you want to get to towards the end. So if you're talking to someone on here, and let's say, for instance, I'm interviewing you, I'm like chatting away, blah, 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 blah. And then you say something that really piqued my interest. We try and go down that tangent. You're like, oh, but what about that? How did you get to that sort of situation? And you make them go off on a tangent elsewhere, but then you have to be conscious to bring it back to the original point, of course. And that's how really how my show goes. You could go off on a massive tangent talking about dinosaurs, going down black holes, I don't know, ended up in Mars somewhere. But originally we're talking about what fitness exercises you do. You know what I mean? It's crazy like that. But as long as you bring it back, it's a great way to do it.
Yep. Hence why I have this sheet of bullet points.
Just in case.
So I know where we're going back to and to come back to it.
Exactly. That's it. As long as you have to have some sort of visual aid. I mean, if anyone's looking to do like a podcast and that, I think you've nailed it right in the head. Always you have some sort of like kind of guidance there, so you know that if it is a really bad interview and the person is really shit and doesn't really talk much, you've got a little bit of a guidance to try and get that out of there. Because sometimes during a conversation, I mean, I've done it before, I still do it now. I do forget things and I can't help it. And then after the show, and you said your goodbyes, thanks very much. You're sitting there and you go, shit, I really wish I actually thought about that and wish I asked that on the show as well. And I've missed a great opportunity to dig deeper into him. I'm like, damn it. So yeah. So it does work. It does work. So that's maybe I need to be a bit more strict.
I've done that on the listen back. I've listened back and I've thought, why did I not notice that?
That's one thing I've never done.
Right.
I've never done is listen back to a podcast. And I think I
don't know. When you do the editing, you ain't listening back then, aren't you? And you'll do the edit and you'll listen to the edit and whatever, and you'll think, I didn't notice that bit there. Which is why now I have a pen and paper with me. So when they're talking, sometimes people might notice sometimes if I put videos out, they'll see me sort of like suddenly scribbling something down, like that.
Yeah. I don't edit my podcast.
No.
Not at all. Not once. Don't even if it's like I'm in an and all that sort of stuff, I do not edit them. If you want the professional answer or do you want the real answer? The professional answer is I don't want to disturb the free flowing of the conversation. You know, I want it to keep it as natural as possible, and keep it entertaining for everyone involved, because the more real it is, the more the audience understands it and the more the audience actually relates to it. That's one of the main reasons I actually don't edit my podcast. I just sit there, clip it, put an intro on it, maybe a bit of an intro at the beginning of me talking and saying who the person is, or which I don't do much anymore. I just get straight into it, and an outro, and that's it. But the real reason is editing a podcast is probably the most time consuming and sometimes boringest thing, and you probably know as well, Marv, in the fucking world. It is horrendous and it drives me insane. So I relish the chance of not editing sometimes. It takes a long time. I hate it.
I've done that more often recently than I used to. When I first started, I used to edit like crazy.
Oh, it's crazy. It's no point, is there?
And now all I do is normally what I'm doing is I'll take out bits where the person I'm talking to will say to me, because I'll ask them something and then they'll say, oh, I've just got to look. It normally happens when I say to them, what podcast do you listen to? And they'll be there and they'll get the phone out. And you'll have this dead air for a while you're waiting for them to pull up the podcast app, and they'll just go, oh, can you just edit this out or whatever? And they'll go, yeah, all right. Yep. So that's it. You know, I mean, now like most I'll do is like 3 or 4 edits an episode.
That's it. That's what you need to do. I mean, I understand from that sort of scenario. Yeah. You have to. Sometimes you might have some dead air if they're doing something or they're trying to remember something now. But sometimes there's actually an app out there. You don't even need to do that yourself. There's AI out there. You can actually do that. It actually does it for you. Any ums, any ahs, any dead air that's more than a second, it comes in, cuts out for you.
I don't mind ums and ahs as long as there's not too many of them. If you don't do it very often, I just leave them in.
Might as well. Why the hell
it's
not?
Conversation.
It's when you're actually on there and you go into all these like kind of groups and all that sort of stuff, and you're talking because I'm always in there trying to network with people. You know what I mean? Just like yourself, sort of thing, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and you always see the people going, it took me 3.5 hours to edit 10 minutes of a podcast because I had to get rid of all the ums and ahs on there. And I was like, okay, well, 1, who the hell are you interviewing? And 2, why are you spending that much time for 10 minutes? And there's some guy was underneath it going, how long is your show? And it went an hour. And I was like, oh my God, you're going to hate life by the end of this. That's the thing.
30 hours of editing.
Oh my God, just for one episode. And the thing is as well, they're going to hate the process. So they'll give up. They'll give up podcasting because they'll know that it's so much work. And that's the problem. If you give yourself less work, the more enjoyable part of it is doing this, us talking. That is the enjoyable part of it. Don't worry about the post-production. You'll get better at that. And when your podcast gets a little bit more traction and you'd be lucky enough to make money from it and sponsors, that's when you get someone else to fucking do it for you. Jump on and get yourself someone else to do it for you. You know what I mean?
Where are we going? You've actually already touched on editing. I mean, that's going far, far ahead. So recording then. And what do you do with the recording? Go on.
What is it? How to record it, sort of thing?
Yeah. How do you record the show?
I used to do Zoom. I first started doing Zoom originally because the majority of my guests that I have they're not obviously local to me. 9 times out of 10, for some reason, I don't know what it is, but for some reason, I have a massive US contingency base of listeners.
Same.
Yeah. I did a little bit of research on this, and honestly, I think it's because obviously the US is like about 1,000 times bigger than we are in the UK. But I think it's because podcasting has taken off more there than it has here. Well, I don't know if you agree with that, but that's my take on it. That there's a lot more podcasts, a lot more listeners over there. Obviously, there's a lot more people, but than it is over in the UK. It's now starting to become a little bit more even now. I don't know, my show. I can only go off my show sort of thing. But with the UK, they're starting to get there. But yeah, Zoom technology is your friend. You know, I was looking around to find out what the best options are. And at that point was when Zoom was free. You could get it for like, unless it's only 2 of you on a show, which mine was, free for as long as you freaking want. Yeah. And then obviously during lockdown on that sort of side of stuff. But then all of a sudden they decided to kind of go, oh yeah, it's only free for 40 minutes now. We're going to put an extra, like you can subscribe and get as much as you want. And it's like, how much is that? It's like, oh, like 10, 15 quid. I don't know how much it is, to be honest. And as soon as I seen that, I was like, nope, I'm out. I ain't paying for bloody doing video calls and stuff like that. I'm out of that. So I decided to get away from Zoom, and I went on. It was actually Sean again from Review It Yourself. I said, what you dabbling with? Because I took a year off last year on my podcast sort of thing. I think that's why my episodes are pretty low at 70. I took a year, just sort of reason, moving house, split up from the ex-missus and all that sort of stuff. Had to kind of do my own little thing. And when I came back, I spoke to him and went, what are you using? He just went, I'm using Zencaster. And I was like, okay, never used Zencaster, but I did a lot of research into that. And the thing I do like about Zencaster is that they record the video and the audio on both ends, which was pretty good.
We nearly used Zencaster because I have a Zencaster account.
See, I got myself one as well. So
I wish I'd have done that now.
Yeah, you should have said, yeah. But Zencaster, I cannot fault it, to be quite honest with you, because even if I'm like, we're on the video call now, even if I'm chatting to you and your audio goes all distorted and your video goes all distorted, when it downloads, because it's downloading from your machine because it's recording you, it's perfect, you know. And that is a great way to do it. You know, I nearly went for Riverside. I didn't like Riverside much because I don't know why, actually. I think they were just
expensive.
That was it. It was expensive. So I mean, I still use the free version of Zencaster. I don't spend money on that. You know, I only do my episodes. If I do, I've not reached the limit. You only get, I think it's 90 minutes a month you get. I've not reached that yet.
Yeah, one of the other shows that I do, one of the co-hosts actually pays for that account. So you know, if I wanted to stretch it and use, you know, all of the bells and whistles,
all singing, all dancing,
I probably could get away with using their account. I think
one of the things that I do like about what they do, if you do pay for the Zencaster thing, is when you download the video to it, instead of having the 2 frames next to each other, they'll edit it for you. When you speak, that person pops up, and when I speak, that person pops up. So you don't need to edit that. So it's literally, you can download it, and you don't need to edit anything to post onto YouTube or Facebook or wherever you put your video shows, and it's perfect. And I'm like, ooh, so 9 times out of 10, I probably will pay for that by the end of this week, I think, because I'm like, okay, let's do it, and it makes life a lot more easier. But yeah, doing a lot of video calls and all that sort of stuff, and doing Zoom, then went to Zencaster. And I think I'll stay with Zencaster for a while now, because I think, yeah, they're good. I like them. They're decent. They're doing a lot of good things for podcasting now as well. They're kind of moving forward with a lot of different tools, a lot of different options and stuff like that. They're now becoming a hosting platform too as well, which is it's pretty special for them, to be fair. But obviously, my first episode was done by an iPhone. That's how I recorded it in a pub beer garden. But then I decided to upgrade it to Zoom and then do Zencaster after, to be honest.
Quick word to people who still who do use the telephone to use, you know, that service. Please remember to to put your phone onto silent or whatever when doing it, because you know when they record it using their phone microphone, when they get a notification, it's so loud, the notification.
Is it?
I can hear it so loud when I'm listening to shows.
Oh God! The thing is I understand that Anchor was one of the main ones that came through with the hosting platforms and stuff like that. I've dotted around hosting platforms all the way through the I was going to say the tenure of the show. I mean, I started off with Anchor just because it was free and I could use my phone. I didn't have all my kits there at the time, and it was a lot easier. So I did record my first couple of shows via my phone. And it's great. Don't get me wrong. If you want to get involved in that sort of stuff, you're not going to get the stats on there. You're not going to get anything, all the bells and whistles, as we mentioned before, but you're going to get the basics. And they do help you with creating your own iTunes, Spotify, all that sort of stuff, which is great. That's what you want. But the one thing I didn't like about Anchor was they kind of own your podcast.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that. I'm like, no. And the worst thing I did, the best thing I did, but the hardest thing that I had to do was move away from Anchor. But because they set up my iTunes, they set up my Spotify account, I had to basically scream and beg and plead for them to give me all the login details so I could actually get into it myself. Because the website address is like a massive long list of numbers because it's a generic, it's a computer generated address. And I had to sit there and try and get it, and they would not do it. They wouldn't physically say, "Oh, we can't do it," and I had to. Oh, it took me months for them to do so and get that sorted. So eventually, if you're doing Anchor, fair enough, stay with them if you want to, but just if you want to leave, be prepared to get all your details back off them because they created it. It's hard work, and after that, I went to Libsyn for some reason because Joe Rogan's on Libsyn. I thought, well, he's on there. I might as well use it as well. And I didn't like them because they put the prices up. And after that, I went to Podbean. Now, so I'm with Podbean, which are not too bad. They do a lot of good stuff with it. But it's all about what is preferential to what you're looking for, how you go about it. You can get hosting platforms and all that sort of stuff that could be better for one person, but not good for another person. Same with recording. Anything. There's so much stuff out there for podcasts that it's literally like, it's like, you know, when you go to the gym and stuff, there's so many people telling you information. And what I always say to them is, because I've had people come up to me all the time and DM me and say, what's the best way to start a podcast? What should I do? What's the best mic? What's the best hosting platform? What's the best stuff? This, that, and other. And I'm just like, whatever's easiest for you. Don't worry about anything, just go for what you think is the best and then learn by doing. Obviously, you'll get pointers the way you go, do some research and just go from there. Don't worry about having everything spot on the first podcast episode that you do because that's never going to happen. You're not going to be any good for at least 20 episodes. And then you'll start to understand how podcasting works, how the stats work. Then you can upgrade yourself to a mic. Go from there. Lighting, if you're going to do a video podcast, how you're going to do it, how editing tools, editing software, all that sort of stuff. Just learn by doing. Just get your first few episodes out. Simple.
Yep. Now you're making me think that I need a lamp there shining on me.
I don't. It'll probably bounce off your forehead, mate, and just kind of shine on it.
That's right. Probably just shine.
There you go.
Wear a hat next. Wear a hat if I do that. Wear a hat.
I can't see nothing. It does exactly the same. I had to turn this down. I sat down earlier and I switched this ring light on. Honestly, I sat down and went, "Oh, oh no!" And you honestly seen off the top of my head because you don't know this, guys. I've got a bit of a bald head. It was just bouncing off the top of my head, and I was like, "Oh, Jesus, I need to turn that bad boy down." Don't want to blind the people who are watching this.
So guest, how you arrange them, and then you've got the music and the logo, the burning man, classic microphone.
Yeah, I like that. I've not changed. I don't want to change my logo. I love my logo and all that sort of stuff. And it's funny as hell because I've actually got, you can't actually see it above me up here. I've actually on the back of my wall, I've got a canvas print of my logo of the podcast, which I should put behind me here. I should put it there, but I just like it because I keep looking up at it. Beautiful canvas print, and I got a deal on that as well. Because it's a metal frame and it's gorgeous. I love it. But with the logo, do you know what? I just wanted something that's out there, brash, that's going to stand out. I didn't want to be the sort of like, again, with having, because you always see, I was looking through iTunes and seeing what logos were there and who has what and what I can take inspiration from.
Yep.
And I encourage people to do the same. But obviously, choose something that's relevant to you. Don't copy someone else because it looks cool for them. Choose what's relevant to you. And a lot of people were putting their own faces on there. And I didn't like that. I didn't want to put my own face on there because it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, it's my show, but I don't want to be my face slotted everywhere. So I've always wanted like an old school microphone, the old kind of 20s version of the old school microphones and stuff on fire, because it's just like, yeah, it looks cool, it looks awesome, it's vibrant, it stands out, you can see it. And then choosing the font was an absolute nightmare. 2 weeks it took me to choose that font that I've got on mine because I could never decide. I could never decide on it. I was like, what sort of font will I do? Shall I do this? And I went on Canva. And Canva's a great app for anything to do with that sort of side of stuff. And it took me so long. I was going through every single one. And I even paid the £10 a month to get the premium ones. And I was going through all of them all the way. It took me so long. I was hitty fitting. And eventually came up with that, with the logo that I've got now. So I like it. It stands out. It's a bit more it kind of understands like the microphone's on fire. Is there any sort of like a relevance to it? No, it just looks awesome. And I love it. But that's where I kind of got the logo from. So I took some inspiration from a lot of different other podcasts and then kind of pulled it and kind of merged it as a little puzzle piece together and made it myself.
The best one is, you found it, and then I find this. I think my logo is cool, but you go onto these like social networks with your podcast, and you get all these people contacting you and saying to you, "Would you like us to make you a logo for your show?" And I'm thinking, there's nothing wrong with the logo I've got already. Thanks very much.
Yeah. Go fuck yourself, mate. I spent about 3 weeks trying to decide this, and then some guy goes, "I'll do it for you for £10." I'm like, you son of a bitch. Where were you 2 weeks ago? You know what I mean? Where the hell were you? And I bet you can't. The thing is, what they do now, they do it all through AI and all that sort of side of stuff. That's how they do it. They just plug it into like Mid-Journey or something like that, or a podcast with microphone on fire. Don't worry, I've done that. That's how I created all my merch stuff, is through Mid-Journey. That's great. But with the music, I started off doing my intro music. First of all, for my early episodes, I used a mashup of Linkin Park and Avril Lavigne.
Right.
I did that because I just thought it was really cool. But then I got a little bit concerned later on down. It was on YouTube, and I basically took it off YouTube. But then I got a little bit concerned that the more but preempted a little bit at that time, the more popular I get, I can't really use that because of commercial rights and all that sort of stuff. And if I want to put it on YouTube, I'll get a couple of strikes involved. So I changed it up, and I just used some royalty-free music to start with, just like welcome to the podcast, blah, blah, blah. And then just like kind of a little jingle that I found on YouTube as well. And it's only just recently I decided to fork out some dollar bills on a professional from Fiverr to make an intro for me. And
nice.
I just went to it. It didn't cost too much. It cost me like 30 quid. And there's some American guy, he goes, what sort of like an intro are you looking for? And I'm into my rock music and my metal music. So I was like, make it a little bit rocky, just what you want to say. And he did it for us. And it sounds pretty awesome. So probably the latest 4 or 5 episodes has actually got the new intro in it, which I think sounds pretty cool. And it sounds a little bit professional, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Makes you feel a little bit legit instead of just being like kind of, obviously I'm not legit and the slightest when it comes to this sort of thing, but it's obviously fake it till you make it sort of thing, you know what I mean?
That's right. We're all doing that constantly. But I think the fact that we do it that way, I think that makes it more interesting. I'm going to put my light on, aren't I?
Makes it more interesting, doesn't it? Yeah. It does make it a little bit more interesting. It makes it more real instead of being all this like kind of, £1,000. This is another thing. I put that on my show as well. I did a little one of my other episodes that I did is how podcasting has changed over the years and how it's been kind of hijacked by all these celebrities and all these like kind of famous people and all that sort of stuff. And it's putting us, I don't know, it's not putting us to shame, but it's putting us down the pecking order when it comes down to shows, especially independent ones like ourselves who have been doing it for years, who have got a good audience, but all these guys are just using their audience to get money and sponsorships and stuff like that because of their name. It pisses me off a little bit because it's like, well, you're not committed to this at all. We've been doing this. You're just basically paying for someone else to do all the production, all the hard work. We're doing it. We're literally in the front line doing it ourselves. And we're trying to come up with some great ideas. And 9 times out of 10, all these independent podcasts out there are 1,000 times better than all these other shows that are out there who are done by celebrities. They're just doing it because it's the new in thing, you know. And once they realize they're not getting as much money as they can, they'll just dwell off. But we'll still be here supporting everyone and actually keeping podcasting alive, because if it wasn't for us, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing. We're the ones that are actually doing it. We're the ones in the trenches. We're the ones that are come up with new ideas, coming up with new topics, coming up with new ways of doing things. And if it wasn't for us, these guys wouldn't be doing it. So fucking give us part of that money they're making.
Yep.
That's my little take on it.
Yep. This will be another one of those episodes where I say, because I've said it a lot lately, if it's the difference there between independent and that, where I was saying that if you were one of those shows that has so many listeners, you know, you have hundreds of thousands of listeners or whatever, this, that, and the other, the problem you've got there is, I think that they're not paid as much attention to. I think they're just there as background, a bit like some radio shows when you put the radio on and you're doing the ironing or you're doing the washing at the same time, is that you're not really paying that much attention to it. Yeah. For the most part, I think a lot of those shows that have these big amounts of listeners are like that. But those that get the lesser numbers, you're being listened to and taken notice of. That's wise, because I think you've grabbed their attention and you've got those steady stream of numbers that aren't quite so high as that. I think that you're being listened to more. Well, at least that's what I'm telling myself.
Yeah, well, yeah, well, that's a good way of putting it. I agree with that. Yeah, I do agree with that. You know, you're being engaged more. You know, and the people who are actually listening are actually engaging. The people who are actually putting on for these higher, like, kind of celebrity, sports people, whatever it is, famous people. You mentioned that, just check on the background. It's there. It's just like music. But the ones that you're actually listening to are actually engaging with it. They're making sure they're actually understanding it a little bit more. I'd like to think I would agree with that. Yeah, I hope so. I think it's a good way of doing it.
Just wait till you see the notes for that latest episode of yours that I've written out.
Have you done it? Have you done notes?
Oh yeah, loads of notes for yours. I can't remember.
What episode was that?
The one that I was mentioning before we started with the actress, Canadian actress.
Why did you pick that one, Marv? I don't like that one.
I don't know.
Don't know. It just thought it was a good fun. She was right stuck up, by the way, when I was speaking to her. She was telling me, as soon as I actually went on there, she was like, she's like an actress. She was like, oh yes. Before we even recorded the show, she's telling me how to do my lighting. Because your lighting should be over here. You're not masking your face properly. And I was like, oh, okay, sorry, darling. Fuck it, hell. And I think it's just, you always see, I don't know if yourself, when you speak to the American audience, sometimes they don't get our sense of humor. So I was trying to say stuff, and it was just going whoosh over her head, and I was like, this is how it's going to go down now, isn't it? Okay, fair enough.
But it's like she was cutting you off as well. I mean, I've not written this up. I've not written that on it actually, in my notes. But yeah, she was like cutting you off when you were mentioning about the film Serendipity.
Love that film.
And talking about that, I know I've got in my notes that Sean needs to talk to you and get you and Louise on a show to talk about Serendipity.
Oh, don't.
That'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
I noticed that when you were doing that, she went automatically into the plug, back into, her book and what she's doing. And she wasn't falling into the tangent so much of wanting to converse. It was all about the plug.
Yeah, that's one thing I've really had to really kind of be strict upon. I'm very strict on my guests now. I mentioned it before when it comes to all these like kind of gurus and all that sort of stuff. Sometimes you do get the other people who are very, very like, I'm here to promote something. I know that anyone who comes on a podcast, they're there to promote something. I don't have a problem with that. I encourage it. I want you to promote what you're doing. Is it a book? Is it a song? Is it whatever you're doing, a course? Do whatever. But there's a time and a place. If you keep promoting what you're doing, you're not going to get people to come over to you because you're not being relatable. Now, if you come across in an interview and you're being more human, you're being more relatable, you understand it, and then plug in when it's necessary, you're going to get a lot more listens, you're going to get a lot more downloads, or you're going to get a lot more sales of whatever you're selling. That is what podcasting is all about, and that's sales 101. I'm in sales myself. I know how to do it. And when you see people try to plug stuff 24/7 all the way through the show, I've had them before, and I'm like, oh my God. And you can see straight away. And I cut it off. You notice that my shows normally go from anything from about half an hour to like an hour and a half. Anything that's an hour and a half, I have enjoyed the show because I want to keep it going. Any podcast that's half an hour, I've not enjoyed it. I can't get anything from them, and I stop it straight away. I just go, okay, yeah, great, thanks very much. And I still post it. I still stay true to my word. But if it's any episode that's under half an hour, you know I've not enjoyed it, and I've told them to do one after it, sort of thing.
That's not the same with me, by the way. Any short episodes of mine, because I have a thing where I've had a few younger guests recently, because there's a big thing now that's coming up of kids and teens doing their own shows.
Yeah, good effort to them.
Right. So I've tried to get onto that and listening to them and getting them on. So what I've done with them is I've done the shorter length shows, which are around 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So that they're not that long. And you find that the shorter episodes actually get more downloads, strangely enough. More
engagement. We're in a society where bloody, what do you call it, is like we've got the attention span is very small. Hence the reason why TikTok and all that's so fucking popular.
Yep. They should have brought out, what was it, Quibi? They should have brought that out now.
They should have done, shouldn't they? My God.
Because how awful for them that they came out with that video thing, these short film things on there. And then suddenly everyone goes into lockdown and nobody wants to watch short films.
That's true. Yeah.
Everyone wants to be on Netflix and Prime and all these other services.
Long form, isn't it? Now it's perfect. Long form's gone, short form better. But it's that balance in that between about what sort of like kind of episode length. There's never going to be a right or wrong answer to this. There's never. No. It's just going to be like, one episode did well because it was 20 minutes long. But then you've got another episode that was 50 minutes long, and it did twice as well as them. And then you did another episode that's 50 minutes long because you think, if I do more 50-minute episodes, it's going to do well. But then the next one you do is 50 minutes. There's hardly anyone listen to it. And you're like, where's the medium? Where's that precise moment of time length? And there's not. It's all about the quality of content. If you get someone involved in the first 5 or 10 minutes of your show, you're going to get them to listen to as long as you want, because you know that's the stem of the show. It's they always call it the hook. They say in any sort of marketing sort of aspect of it, especially in even in TikTok videos, they say the hook must be in the first 2 seconds of your video. I'm like, Jesus Christ, how can you get someone hooked into a video in 2 seconds without I don't know. I'm like, oh, Christ. They look at me and go, nope, swipe right or swipe up, whatever it is.
Mission Impossible explosion at the beginning.
That is it. You have to do something really crazy. But with podcasts, and it is about the hook to keep them engaged, and it's about quality of content. A lot of guys turn around. If you want to get really deep, I've went down the rabbit hole, all this sort of silly stuff. I've went really well done. If anyone wants to talk to me, but I'll talk to you till the cows come home. But it's all about the quality of content. If you keep your audience engaged and talk about really cool stuff and give them value, they're going to listen to you for 3 hours. But if you don't do that and you're just doing podcasting for the sake of doing it, you're not going to get much. You're not going to get much at all.
Right, that's me messaging Sean again. Sorry.
Well, you really try to get him to get his finger out. What are you doing, buddy? Come on.
What are you doing, buddy? You've got to record him with my other half after this.
Jesus bless him. He's too busy sleeping his hangover off, trying to seduce some Russian spy in fucking Moscow, of trying to figure out where the plans for the Death Star is or something like that.
Yeah, but he won't be doing it with alcohol because he doesn't drink, does he?
He doesn't, does he?
No.
I'd say he actually did. Actually, he did. But we did a kind of series of the Die Hard series, and every time I'm on his show, I started off with the first one he did, because the way me and Sean met was actually really cool. It was on Instagram, really.
Yeah.
And I was just looking for like small time shows, and I came across his show, and I tagged him in a post. I tagged a load of people in a post and said, big up these small guys. I was doing it for a couple of years, and I was like, big up these small streamers and that, small podcasters. Go and take a look at the shows. They're really good. And Sean came back to me and said, oh, thanks very much for that. Great. And we just kind of stand up a friendship from there. And he's like, would you come on the show? And I was one of his first guests. Because because originally he actually was only doing like a solo show. I said, dude, get yourself some guests on because it's a lot easier and you can bounce off that other person. You know, if you're doing a solo show, it's a lot harder to keep the audience engaged because you're constantly thinking. And you've not got time to think. You have to really be strict with yourself. So when you get a guest on, when that person's talking, you can really engage with them and you can go off what they're talking about and then you can start a conversation. And he was like, oh, well, yeah, I might do that. Do you want to be my first guest? And yeah, I was his first guest on there. So I'm always say to him, I know Bill's his best friend and all that sort of stuff. But
the bromance.
I know the bromance, but I always say to him, Sean, I was your first. You never forget your first, mate. There you go.
Brilliant. So, sorry, you put me off now. But yeah, that brings me to another one, actually, which is, I mean, the amount of shows that you've been on as well.
I've been on quite a few.
Yeah.
Not as much as I should be, to be fair. That's one of the things I want to carry on doing more of. I've been on Sean's show, obviously, the Review It Yourself podcast. That was a great show, really good fun time with him. I've been on a few other ones. The one thing that I have been on, I got in contact with an American comedy company sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they got in contact with me about being on a guest on there, sort of like a round table. It was only like it was sort of like a podcast version of Saturday Night Live. And they were like, it's a news, sort of an entertainment news channel. I don't know how to describe it, but then every week or every other week or something like that, they have like a big round table on Zoom and all that sort of stuff. And they discuss recent things that happened. And they always want to get people like who are looking to be discovered. And they got me on there.
Yep.
And I was like, are you ready for this? Are you sure? And that was another one. I had to wait up till 3:00 in the morning for this because it was in America. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is going to be. And I was at work the next day as well. So there's me supping Red Bulls and coffees and obviously alcohol down my neck to keep myself coherent at 3:00 in the morning because I'm getting old, Marv. You know what I mean? I can't stay up that late without any help. Yep. And that was good fun, actually. That was talking away. And you could see they were asking me questions. And I'm just out there. I'm a bit like blah, blah, blah. And you can see straight away that their reactions to my jokes and all that sort of stuff were just going straight over their heads. Again, they don't understand the kind of British sense of humour. And I think probably about the majority of them didn't understand a word I freaking said because of the Scottish accent, because I was nervous. I've never done anything like that before. And I was like, blah, 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 blah. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about, mate? Because I just couldn't understand. It's the Scottishness. I have to really, if I'm on like a show like this, I have to really kind of concentrate and not just go off on one because as I say, like Sean again, I have got an opportunity to go off on one. I will take it. Yeah. But it was a really good show. I did that one. I've done one with an American because I'm an ex-forces man myself. My background is Air Force. I was in the RAF, and I had one of a great guy who does like a forces American forces podcast sort of thing, and he was chatting away to me, and we had a great conversation talking about the difference between military Americans and British military and all that sort of side of stuff. And a great chat about that. And I did another one. Is where I've done. I think that's probably the only ones I've done. I've done one.
One of them shoots shoots people by accident that were on the same side of them, and the other ones don't.
Oh, here we go. Drop that bombshell, Marv. I love that. Controversial.
Friendly fire. Ooh.
Blue on blue. You like that, you yank bastard, didn't you? I went there. See, you give me an opportunity, Marv, and I will take it and I will run with it. But one of the ones I actually did do was actually the two about my life. I like because there's a couple of YouTube channels. There's an older gentleman in America. He wanted to do an interview on me, just wanted to speak about my life and all that sort of stuff, and that was really good. But the one before that I did was with a girl who does a very, very similar sort of like kind of podcast to mine, because I've not came across many podcasts that do what I do, and have a variety of different people. They're normally, because as you say, rule number one of podcasting is be a niche. You've got an audience, you've got a niche in there. I ain't got one. My niche is the whole fucking world right now. So there's not many people who actually are stupid enough to go to my sort of avenue sort of thing. But this girl was. And the worst thing about it, I had my microphone all set up. I had that, but she used a different. I can't remember what platform she used. It was a video call, and I joined it. But instead of, because it was a new platform I've never used, the audio was coming from my bloody webcam.
Yeah.
And I was like chatting away, thinking it was coming from my mic, but it wasn't. It was my webcam it was coming from. So my audio sucked massive ass. It was horrendous. Yeah. So it came out and it took a longer. It said it'll be out tomorrow, or a couple of days. A week and a half later, it eventually came out. I was like, why is it taking so long? And eventually then I heard it. I was like, oh my God, that sounds horrendous, because the audio was coming from my mic, my camera, and not actually my mic. I was devastated because that was my first ever proper interview that people wanted to hear about me. And I was like, I'm so excited. I was telling my friends and all that. And they went, Ryan, you sound like shit. I was like, I know. I'm so good right now. So yeah, but that's one of my main goals this year, is to get on other people's shows. It's settings, yeah. Always check your settings, guys. Always check your settings. But that's one of the main things I want to do this year, is try and get on other people's shows. Try and be a guest on other people's shows, because it's a lot more fun. It takes a lot of pressure away from you, because you're obviously, as you know, when you host a show, you're always thinking of what they're hearing, what you're doing, when the next question's going to come, where can I go with this? But when you're a guest, you can say whatever the fuck you want. All you need to do is answer questions. So that's the next goal. So hopefully any guys out there want me on this show, go for it. I'll try not to swear that much.
Right. I'm not going to edit any of that out whatsoever. It's going with a big, massive E.
Go for it. Explicit.
Explicit.
Go for it.
So, I was going to say something there. I don't know what. But yeah, I mean, I've been on Jacked Up Review. That was one podcast that I was on. That was a shot out of the blue that they asked me to come on.
Oh,
they
nice.
wanted me to do, they were doing a round table about James Cameron. I think,
Christ.
Which is a bit of a round table.
What a topic. How many times did you slate James Cameron?
Well, they know for definite that I'm not a fan of Avatar. They know that.
You're not a fan of Avatar? Why not?
I fell asleep.
What, in the first or the second one?
First one, I haven't seen the second one.
The second one's not as good. The first one, did you go to the cinema this year?
No. I got it out on DVD, and I was watching it on a site somewhere.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Of course. We do it, of course.
Yeah, earning the shekels. But yeah, I didn't really. I just thought it was a bit. I thought it was a bit boring, but it was also similar to other things. It was almost like a jigsaw film. So I'll take that bit from Aliens. I'll take that bit from Abyss. I'll take this bit from Terminator 2, put that in there. And it's almost like the very best. You've probably even got bits of Titanic in there. But you have. But because you got the love thing from Titanic in there between him and Zoe. What's her face? It's been Saldana's character or whatever. Weird. It's sort of like an avatar having sex with an alien creature. But
what's bestiality at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It is. It's like, I just felt, I mean, if an alien came down here and I started fancying like a little grey or green alien, I'd like, dude, you're weird, man. What the fuck's the matter with you?
Yeah. It's weird. So I'm not a fan of that film. I mean, but I was really, I can say it now because, you've already sworn. I was really pissed off that I wasn't available to do the talk that they did about Prince, because I could just go on about Prince for ages, because I think he was an incredible artist.
Oh, he's fantastic. Prince is like a visionary. He was well before his time, that guy.
Yeah, and I would go along lines where we were talking in one of these Beatles shows that I do. And we were talking about Paul McCartney being prolific, and I agreed with my colleague who said the only person who comes close to how prolific McCartney would be somebody like Prince, because Prince was always doing stuff.
Yeah. Have you seen the oh Christ, what's his name? The guy, the guy who did Clerks and Dogma, the director. He did
Kevin Smith, yeah.
Smith. What's his name? Sorry,
Kevin Smith.
Kevin Smith. Have you seen the talk that he did regarding Prince? And that Prince hired him to make a documentary about him.
No.
Fascinating. It's on YouTube, and it's about an hour long. And he goes into massive detail when Prince hired Kevin Smith, because he watched Dogma, and he
Yeah.
hired Kevin Smith to come and do like a film for him. And he goes, it was the most weirdest thing I have ever made in my entire life. He goes into detail. I don't want to ruin it because I won't be able to give it justice. But
Yeah.
honestly, type it in about Kevin Smith on Prince, and he goes into detail about it. Fascinating, fascinating about how crazy Prince is towards the end, because he was batshit crazy. He was batshit crazy, but at the end of the day, all the great artists are, to be fair. So you've got that for him.
Dogma is my favourite Kevin Smith film.
Love Dogma. Such a funny film.
Yeah.
Funny satire is to the max. It's brilliant.
And perfect casting of God.
Oh yeah, Alanis Morissette.
Alanis Morissette.
Spoiler alert, guys. Sorry.
Sorry.
Not seen it. But Alanis Morissette. She doesn't speak as well, which is even better.
I know. she gets paid almost as much money for Vin Diesel, who gets paid loads of money for saying 3 words in the Marvel films.
I know how long he's literally made a mint just doing that, isn't he? He says 3 words like in different tones and all that sort of stuff.
Except, crazy. Spoiler alert, he says more than that at the end of Guardians 3.
Oh, he does, doesn't he? We don't want to. Oh God, no. Did he actually do the? You know when there's Baby Groot? Is it just his voice dumbed down or like transistor or something?
Actually, I saw footage of him recording it, and he did it in that voice in the studio. I know.
Tell you what, Vin Diesel, man of many talents. Look at that. He's showing his acting prowess already. He's more than an action star. He's got acting ability.
What's that one that I saw him in? I saw him in a film, actually, where I thought, damn, he's acting there. And it was the one where he was a criminal, but he was representing himself in court.
I'm not seen that one.
I can't remember the name, but he had hair then as well. But yeah, I thought he was fantastic in that. But then I thought he was good in Saving Private Ryan.
He's great. That's his big break in Saving Private Ryan, wasn't he? That was his big major thing to do, which is awesome. He's good now. He died.
Interesting that the big first films for him and Paul Walker were war films, because Paul Walker was Flags of Our Fathers.
Oh, was it?
He was one of the ones actually that held the flag.
Ah, I've not seen that film. I have to rewatch that, I think. God, I tell you what, come on this show, and it's like a school day. You know what I mean? You're gonna learn something new every day. I love that.
I'm throwing a grenade out here, but I like the Japanese version, because Eastwood, he made 2 at the same time, didn't he? He made Flags of Our Fathers, which is from the American side, but at the same time he filmed Letters from Iwo Jima, which is the same story but from the Japanese point of view, and he made the 2 films at the same time. And if you can pull up with it being in Japanese, Letters from Iwo Jima is an incredible film.
I remember that. I've not seen the Japanese one, but I've seen obviously the American side. But yeah, I remember that coming out. Yes, I do recall that now when you've reminded us. That's a G. Clint Eastwood, the guy's a fucking legend, isn't he? What's he all about? Fucking gangster. Love it.
Absolutely. We're not half gabbing here.
I know. Tangent. I love it.
What have I got here? Ryan's tips for a good life. No, actually, no, we've gone straight past standout episodes.
Standout episodes for mine. I've got 2. And well, I'll tell you what, to be fair, I've got a few. The ones where me and my mates get pissed up on it are always the funny ones, because what we did, it was like end of seasons. I started doing seasons when I first started, and end of season 1, end of season 2. And it was just me and my mate Adam Story, and he's like my best mate, and he had his own podcast at the time. And I just got him, we just got pissed up while on this, and the shit we come out with was crazy, stupid, funny stuff. And if you just want to have a laugh, just listen to that. Another, probably the best, there's 2 best ones that I've done. One was, I'm really crap with names. I'd have to get it out and have a look at it. But there was one it's gone back a few, but I re-released it because it was that good. It was about a gentleman whose brother committed suicide. And it was due to the fact that it was his brother was being abused by his local priest. And this was in a local town, a very church-given town sort of thing. And Sam Unglo, that's the one, Sam Unglo, have a look at that. And he was getting abused by his local priest in a small town. And as you can imagine, in America, small town America, hugely Christian neighborhood.
Yep.
Huge scandal, got dusted under. It was happening for years. So his brother decided to write a book about his life and what happened, so he could release it to the world and let people know about it. And basically, what happened? He eventually the priest got found out. He got convicted. He found out he was doing it to numerous people run about the community, and the church covered it up. They basically covered it up, sent him away. Think nothing happened to him. Didn't go to jail. Nothing, and he got sent away to a different state, and left all the victims with mental scars, physical, everything. It was horrible. And unfortunately, his brother killed himself halfway through writing this book. His brother just couldn't handle it, and he's killed himself, unfortunately. Took his own life. So his brother decided to finish the book. He decided to finish the book and go through all of that. And it was just him talking about the book itself, the community that we're living in, how this affected the community, and a lot of different aspects of it. He goes into a lot of detail, which is, I didn't expect him to do so. I didn't ask it because it's a very touchy subject for someone who's talking about it and trying to get information. You don't know how to react and what to say and what not to say. But he was very good. He just went, say whatever you want and ask whatever you want. I'm more open than you think. So I did. And he was talking about how he actually found the whole part of the whole podcast that really got to me was he actually found where the priest lived, and he pulled up outside his house with his friend, and he said, he was like, I go, so what did you do? And he was just like, I could have walked in there. I wanted to bang on his door and kick his door in, but his mate turned around to me and said, if you do that, your life will be over. And he goes, your brother wouldn't want that for you. And that's when he stopped and he drove away. But he was telling me about he released the book, and the church have tried to snub him, tried to do a smear campaign against him because they're trying to cover it up because it's making them look bad. You know, it's a horrible situation. And unfortunately, it happened. Another one as well was more recent. That one that I just said about Stabmungalow was a couple of years ago. This one's more recent. This was great. And this one was about this. God, again, I'm so bad with bloody names and stuff. I'll have to grab it from my directory. Bear with us, mate. Sorry. You can edit this out, can't you? Wait.
Editing. You know, while we're in editing mode.
Yeah.
You need to check that out. Rewriting Dad.
Oh, okay.
This woman got hold of her dad's. He'd kept extensive journals.
Right.
Her dad did, and through this, she found out that her dad used to be with the mob.
Oh, Jesus, I love that. This is going on to something I'm about to talk about now as well. One of the recent ones. One of the other ones I do really, I had a great chat with this. Pepper. Pepper ran her name was. It's not a real name. She has to do for a reason I'll tell you in a minute. And her is called the Notorious Texas Swindler, and it's a real story of corruption, organized crime. And what happened? It's Walking Tall, film with the rocker. That's exactly the sort of similar sort of scenario to that. Is that a local town was being corrupted by a local gang. And they thought it was only going to be just a local gang and cattle rustlers and all that sort of stuff. And how she got involved was her cousin was involved in it. And he was arse deep into this sort of trouble and all this sort of thing. And they found out the whole town was corrupted. But it wasn't just corrupted by local sort of criminals. This went massively wide-scaled. This went national, and it was all about the mafia getting involved. It was all about stuff like that, and it was all about how they found out that she's writing a book about it, and they basically tried to they hacked into a system and deleted her book 3 times, and as well as they loosened the wheels on the nuts on her car so that she would crash and basically died.
Wow.
And she was attempted murder. She had death threats constantly, and she's eventually wrote this book. So that's probably one of the best ones I've heard. And she's a great person. She goes into detail. She talks about it, and she's got the southern American accent. That kind of, hey, how you doing, man? And it's like that. And I love that accent. And she's so sweet. And she's so nice. And she goes into detail about it. And that's one of my favorite episodes recently. That was only a couple of months ago as well.
You've made me suddenly think, because you mentioned Walking Tall, and I talked to a podcast called that last week.
You did?
Oh, it came out. And I've just thought, Walk the Line. Does that come from Johnny Cash, perchance?
Don't. Everyone keeps saying that. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Because obviously I got inspiration from that, yes, but it doesn't. It's not obviously about the same sort of scenario. It's the reason why I call Walk the Line is the main reason it's the story between it's because my show is like a story show. It's literally walking. It's a similar sort of scenario with Johnny Cash's adaptation of why it's called Walk the Line. It's literally gone between you're telling a story, what's true, what's not. You're walking the line of life, if that makes sense. You know, you go one side, you could fall off, you could do whatever. For the other side, you could do whatever sort of thing. So that's how I kind of perceive it. Plus, it sounds cool.
So, even though we're going a long time, this is a cool chat, and I keep mentioning that only because there's supposed to be a recording after this with my other half doing a show.
Oh no, you're gonna get shit.
So we're holding that up. Ryan's tips for a good life. Let's see what you come up with this.
Tips for a good life. It's, you know what? Normally, just be happy. Do something that you love. Find something that you care about. Grab it and go with it. Be kind to people. Speak to people with respect. Don't be an arse. Yep. If you see someone who needs help, help them. You know, it's all about kindness and respect and being open to people. You know, people are going to go through life with hardships. They're going to go through life thinking the world's up against them. Yes, life isn't fucking easy. You know, a lot of people out there are probably listening to this, no idea what they're fucking going to do with their life. Christ, I'm pushing 40. Sometimes I don't know what I'm going to do in my life. You know, I've been doing a career 52. I hate. Yeah. You know, and it's exactly the same. You find your passion, find something that you love, find something that you actually care about, you know that you're going to enjoy, and run with it. Who cares what anyone says? You know, that could be anything. It could be you want to be a professional pool player, fucking go for it. Life's too short to sit there and do the corporate world stuck behind a desk, looking at a computer for 8 hours a day, then being told that you're not doing well enough because you've not made so many calls, or you've not done this, or you've not done that. Fuck them, man. Do what you want to do. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Surround yourself with people who are in the same mindset as you. That is a huge thing. Get rid of all the naysayers. Get rid of all the negative people in your life. And sometimes it might be hard to do that because sometimes they might be family. The biggest people, the biggest doubters in your life will be your own family. It's a given. You're just going to have to really kind of take it on the chin, take a journey, take a jump, and do the risky things. The old school phrase is, isn't it? It's like, if it was worth it, it would. If what's it they say? He says if it wouldn't be easy. You know, it's anything worth having does not come easy. There you go. If it was worth it, if it was easy, everyone would do it as well. You know, I'm coming at all the cliches now, but yeah, be happy, do something that you love, be kind to your fellow person, help people. You see someone crossing the road that's struggling, you go and do that. You know, make sure that you give back to people because it will come round. People will help you. And if we build a society in that sort of culture, we'll be a lot less fucking miserable because people are miserable right now. And it's time for a change.
Would that be along similar lines to what you'd suggest to people for if they were doing a podcast as well?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. If you want to do a podcast, you go for it. You know, there's so many people out there who are too scared to wonder what people thought of them, think of them. Yeah. You know, it took me a long time to to understand that people don't give a shit about you. They don't care, you know, and I was going through my life worried, doing stuff I wanted really passionate stuff that I really wanted to do, and I didn't do it because I was worried about what people might thought if I did it. Friends, family, colleagues, whatever, people you work with, even your partners, you know. And it's only just recently, it took a long time for me to get out of that. Do not give a shit about what people think of you, because at the end of the day, they're probably talking about you. If they are talking about you, it's probably because they want to do it and they can't do it, but you've got the balls to fucking do it. Find something you love. If you want to start that podcast, get on eBay. Get on. You don't need thousands and thousands of pounds for a big old setup. Get involved. I did it for £100 and I got myself set up. Get on there, build it, and then learn from it. No, don't look at the easy way. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to get thousands and thousands of followers in your first 2 episodes. It doesn't work that way. Be consistent. Do the small things consistently, and that is when you become successful. Simple as that.
Yep. If you build it, they will come.
Can't say it. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Field of dreams.
Field of dreams. Love that. Go on, Kevin.
There you go. Good lad. So where can people find you and get hold of you then, Ryan?
all over social media. Twitter, on Instagram, you can look for me on at the Walk the Line Podcast Official. You can get me on my Twitter, which is Ryan_Walk83. Or you can go to my website, which is thewalkthelinepodcast.com. If you want to be a guest, there's a form to fill out. Come straight to me. We'll have a chat. If you want to come on, all the podcasts there. The merch is there. If you want to buy some hoodies, you want to buy some mugs, some mouse mats, anything you want, it's all on there as well.
Okay. Thanks very much for this, mate.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Marv. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, mate. So you can find Pods Like Us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. There you go. Got the new one.
Yeah.
There we go. Trying. And you can contact us through podslikeus@gmail.com. Anyway, thank you everyone for listening, and hope you listen again to another episode of Pods Like Us. Yeah, because he keeps a lot of things secret, doesn't he, Sean?
He does, doesn't he?
Lots of secrets.
You know, you have to be careful of that. You have to be careful.
I can't put video up on YouTube because of my job. All right, what do you do?
He's like a secret agent or something, isn't it? You just want to sit there and poke at him and prod more. What do you do? How would you go about it?
What do you do? Do you use any gadgets?
Yeah, I know. Have you got a watch that shoots lasers? If you have, can I have one?
Have you got something that has the initials PPK, perchance?
Oh, mate, I tell you, if he's a secret agent, I tell you we're fucked. We're screwed, to be quite honest with you. God help the rest of this country. You know, that's the poster child for the MI5 right now, Sean. No, sorry, Sean, I love you, really. I'm only kidding.
This is going in post-show.
Here we go. It's already started, but see, I can't help myself sometimes.
Oh, dear. Right, let's see where we go. Okay.
Right, give us 2 seconds. I'm going to grab a quick drink from the fridge. Give me 2 minutes.
That's fine.